Welcome to the Outside Game podcast. I am Keith Bulluck, the host with the most, with my man, Don Povia, riding shotgun.
Welcome back, Mr. Monday Night. It has been a long time. It has been a ride. I think you said it might have been 7 months. And here we are.
Yeah.
We're back. We have big plans for 2020.
Yeah.
What happened?
And then, you know what? I'm sure a lot of people had big plans for 2020, and then COVID came and no one had any plans. You know what I'm saying? People are still trying to make plans to get out of their house. So I think it's great that, you know, we're in this position. I've found time to reconnect with my guy to, you know, get this outside game going again.
Yeah, I just got a text from someone that was at our party in Miami. Said, "Hey, Don, you going to Tampa this year?" And I said, "I'm not planning on it. It's not a no, but it's very unlikely." And I can't believe that's been a year. I mean, it has been a year. We've been on lockdown, but you've had a lot going on, man. So we haven't been doing this, but it's more like I haven't been bothering you because you've been busy. So why did you decide to open up a coffee joint in the middle of a pandemic?
Well, I mean, it wasn't the idea of opening in the pandemic. I'm actually a shareholder in Just Love Coffee Roasters. It's a local coffee company to Tennessee, to Nashville. It's actually, we have our own roaster in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But it was my time to open. My shop was actually supposed to open in April. We're on spring break. We're actually in Morocco. Me and my family were supposed to be there for 10 days. It got cut short to 4. Luckily, we got back to New York the day that New York City was shut down. It was pretty crazy. That was in March, maybe like 12th or 13th or something like that.
Yeah, my wife turned 40 on March 6th, and we got a nice little wine bus tour kind of going into some vineyards, and then 3 days later, something like that, it was shut down. So we remember the date quite well. We just got that last hurrah in before everything went kaput, man.
And that's how I feel. But the short of it, man, I was scheduled to open my store in April, like I said, and then it kept getting pushed back. And look, COVID shut everything down, and I had to open. The landlord had me paying rent, so I kind of had to go in with it. So in July 13th, we actually opened our doors. So so from July 13th till January 5th, I was in my store just about every day, minus, you know, like Christmas and New Year's. Pretty intense.
I mean, pretty hands-on. I mean, like jumping into that. I mean,
yeah.
Into the fire, into the frying pan, right? I mean, what did you know about it, or were you learning on the fly?
I was learning on the fly, and to be honest, I had someone that you know joined me. To be the general manager, but they were from a different space, figured they wanted to try something new. And, you know, it was a challenge for both of us. But at the end of the day, it's my money, my investment, I'm the face of it. So, yeah, I'm the one that has to put in the long hours to make sure that I have the right people, hire the right people. It's pretty interesting. Everything always, reverts to football. I always think that things in terms of, the football landscape. So it's almost like, obviously I'm the GM or the head coach or however you want to look at it. And I got to get the right people to run the front of the house with the baristas, then run the back of the house with the cooks and the food and all that stuff. And then I have to know how to do everything. So yes, Bully is a barista. Don't even trip. You know what I'm saying?
Tennessee itself, though, has been relatively open. I mean, I guess that's a positive kind of where you live. You did have the delay, but once you got going, it was slow, but it could have been a much worse circumstance in some places, right?
Yeah, for sure. Just knowing, owners, small business owners and restaurant owners in New York, California, some of those other cities where, they only can do outdoor dining or resorted to the 20% capacity and those things. I think here in Nashville and in Tennessee, we were open a lot quicker. And honestly, all I could do was follow the guidelines and just go by what everybody else was doing. I paid very close attention to what restaurant owners that were open before COVID was doing, and I just just put the max in. Get my place disinfected every other week. The special air conditions, the bio UV light air conditions and stuff like that. So, for me, I'm more about everybody else being safe. You know what I mean? I want everybody else to be safe. People have their opinions about masks, no mask. Yes, you have to wear a mask. But then as soon as you sit down, you take your mask off. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, yeah, it's just, restaurant management 101.
So, man, Tennessee, South, right? Mask mandates, crazy people out there. Let's say, man, and on top of everything else, we've had these racial divisions. Right? You see any of that down in Tennessee?
It's funny. I think it was all the same. Obviously they had the Black Lives Matter protest here, just like they had just in every city. I didn't necessarily see much racial things. I can't really say that I saw much racial, black white tension here in Tennessee. Then again, was just going to my shop, so I saw what I saw on television and on, IG and stuff like that. So the hyper, I like to call it the hyper news. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think it was just whatever was going on around the country. Like we had someone they didn't storm the courthouse, but they set it on fire. They threw a Molotov cocktail.
Oh, man.
They threw a Molotov cocktail through
I think that's worse than storming.
Yeah, I mean, not too much racial.
Well,
I think the cops are out of hand in New York.
I was gonna say you got the black and white that you mentioned. What about the red and the blue? I mean, was there a lot of political stuff?
Yes, definitely that. I think that was definitely something that here in the South, people were definitely on their Trump shit, and other people were on their Biden shit. You know what I mean? And everyone was definitely standing their ground. It's funny. I went to there's two bars, a couple bars here in the neighborhood where I live, and I went to one, and it's just chill, regular. It reminds me of any other bar we might stroll into in New York. And then you go to the other one, you got people wearing their Trump hats with their flags and stuff like that. We definitely saw a lot of flag flying here. Definitely on the pickup trucks with the flag flying. I saw a lot of that.
So you got that open state down there in Tennessee. Up here, we're stuck in our house, so we can't do much of that. So it's almost like just viewing it from afar. I mean, what do you think about the whole election? I mean, it kind of seems, we were joking before about California opening up. I mean, it's I don't know. It's almost like, I don't care what side you're on, just people just have seriously calmed down quite a bit. I mean, just the way people get riled up these last couple of years, man. And we're just going to gear up for it again. But did not miss that, kind of like being locked in the house and not have to deal with the crazy people out there.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It just comes in a different way. I'm just kind of sitting back to see how it's going to come with this new regime. With Biden in the office, because now just seems like we can't come together as a country. I don't care if it's color division or if it's political division. We stay divided within. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, man, I just sit back. For me, politics is the distraction. You know what I'm saying? So it's really, there's something bigger going on within the politics that they give us on television. You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by the distraction. So, I don't even know what to believe when it comes to politics. It's all fake news, right?
Speaking of a different form of politics, if you will, going back to really the beginning of the year, kind of coming out of the Super Bowl, we saw a lot with pro days being shut down, and the draft, I feel, because of that, was like an upheaval. And then coming into the season, 2020 season, you saw, the We Want to Play movement, right, guys, with different divisions, whether it was the Pac-12 or the Big Ten. As a former player on a Power 5 school, what was your impression of of that year for these kids that should have been like riding high on their senior years?
You know what? It was tough. It had to be tough. And, the effects of that now is, to everything that you said, a lot of these kids the schools are giving them an extra year. So it's really affecting this year's high school senior a lot, because when you think about it, in the North, I think my nephew may have played like 4 games in Jersey. California, they didn't play at all. And I don't know how they did in other states, but I think that the high school kid is really affected because the Power 5, just now the NCAA kids that were supposed to leave, they're either taking their red shirts to stay in college another year, or they're giving a 6th year. A fifth year, like almost like a medical red shirt. And I think I have to do my research on that. I have to look into that. And I think that the NCAA allowed that for this year because of COVID. But I have to imagine that it's tough on the high school kid and the college kid, especially the college kid that is hoping to make their living at the next level. You know what I'm saying?
Here's where I'm thinking about it is, one is that senior, right, that's being afforded the extra year, right? And that one decided to stay. So these guys that would be coming out in the draft, next year's draft is going to be doubled up now. You're going to have all the kids from this year that should have been coming out and the kids from next year, right? So that's a more crowded field. So it's almost like better if you were expecting to get drafted or make a team, it might have been better to come out this year and not take that extra year. On the flip side, these kids that are coming in from the high schools that are going to be freshmen, right? That's another position that's not leaving that they got to compete with. I don't know how the scholarships are going to work. Are they getting extra scholarships, or do they get the same amount of scholarships? But again, a crowded field now on both ends of it, one going into the pros and then 2 coming into college. Right, it's almost like a log jam that I feel is going to just kind of trickle down year after year. So there's no precedence for it, though.
I mean, and what a lot of parents do now, like, I don't know how it was in your area growing up, but we're the same age. We used to always want to play up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're in 10th grade, if you're in 9th grade, you always want to play on varsity when you're younger. But a lot of these kids now, their whole parents are holding their kids back. So if you're in 8th grade, they're going to hold you back again in 8th grade so you can play with younger kids. You know what I'm saying? With the less competition. So that's weak as shit. But that's the trend that's going on right now. High school sports.
I was talking to our guy Vic at CGS last week, and he was laughing about the BYU guys. There were a couple BYU guys there, and he's like, "What are you, like 25 years old?" He's like, they go on their missions, they come back, and we're playing these grown men against these 18-year-olds. Men. Nice. Sticking with football, man. What you think of the championship weekend this weekend? Any surprises?
I think Tom Brady is the GOAT. No, Tom Brady is the GOAT, bro. Like, let's talk about that real quick, man. This guy has been to 10 Super Bowls. Some people don't even play 10 years. Some people don't even play in 10 games. My man has been to 10 Super Bowls. He's been to just as many what they say, just as many Super Bowls as Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers.
He's got as many NFC championships as Brees and Rodgers. They got the same amount of NFC championship games. Yeah. So actually I have this on my list. I was listening to Jason Avant did an Instagram TV post where he was talking about, the players are the ones that play and the players win the championships. So when it came to the Belichick Brady argument, and he even brought up Andy Reid. He's like, Andy Reid isn't going to win if he doesn't have Mahomes and Kelsey and Cheetah and all those guys too. So, I mean, does that really just, put an end to the Brady Belichick argument?
I think it makes a new argument and a new discussion. And look, if you look at New England this year, and one of the reasons Tommy B got out of there was because the weapons that is around him. You know what I mean? And people are talking about, his game is falling off, he's deteriorating, but he didn't really have, and he's never really had much to work with, and he makes it happen. I mean, like the year he had Randy Moss, Corey Dillon, like he has had some exceptional teams, you know what I mean? But in the last 5 years, he hasn't really had much to work with and still has been able to get that team deep into the playoffs. So,
I mean, in the early days, I think Troy Brown was like his big weapon back in the day too. Like even going all the way back then, he never had those big names. And then it was like guys like Dylan and all. They were, you know, I don't want to say they were picking them off the scrap pile, but you know, it was guys that had issues that came in and straightened out and played for the program. Then he got the most out of them.
Yeah, and I think that look, Bruce Arians is a great coach, man. He coached with all those Colts teams with Peyton Manning. You know what I'm saying? And then you get one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Look at Matt LaFleur. You know what I'm saying? He has Aaron Rodgers. He's been in the NFC Championship 2 years in a row. And look, Aaron is like, you know, I saw a little sports talk today. Aaron was like, I thought he had 4 downs when the coach decided to kick the field goal and he didn't get the ball back again. So it's one of those things. Now you got people in Green Bay that have been there a long time, that have been pillars of that organization, that's trying to get out of there because this coach affected the outcome of the game. And that's something that they don't talk about much when you watch sports television and all that. They protect these coaches, but shit, it's just like in the Green Bay game, the defensive coordinator has them in a single high safety man-to-man with 5 seconds on the clock. Like, you know, I'm not trying to turn this into like a football talk podcast, but at the end of the day, you got to know that Tom Brady is going to take the shot downfield to get the pass interference. So what do? You tell everyone you don't get beat deep. Like, come on, man. Like, we could talk about these coaches all day, but like you're saying, the player is the one that will stick out. And like, not for nothing, you know, Aaron Rodgers, shit, he put it on the coach. He said, look, I thought I had 4 downs to work with, and he had 3. Kick the field goal.
No, I hear you. But yeah, we were not going to keep it a football, but I think we said we're going to keep it short this week, and then maybe we'll open up on we're playing around for all those listening on the Clubhouse, trying to figure out a unique way to use this. So maybe we'll go interact a little bit after that. But
hold on. I just want to say, go for the record, put it on record that if people start doing their podcasts on Clubhouse, the Outside Game podcast was the first podcast on Clubhouse.
Yeah, as far as we know, I don't see anybody else doing anything, but I'm still trying to figure that out. Anyway, what did you learn, whether as a business person, as a father, citizen, or you know, as a sports fan or a retired athlete? I mean, what was your big takeaway over these last couple months since we haven't spoken in some time?
Man, I think this pandemic has, had a big effect on a lot of people. I feel like, you have to really, do what's best for you and your family and your loved ones to stay safe at this time, because I don't feel like the information has always been clear. With that being said, like, I love what you and your family do. You guys go on hikes. You guys are very active. You're in parks all the time. Like, since COVID has hit, like, it hasn't, I haven't seen you break stride in like your family life. You figure out a way to keep everything going. I think the hardest part for most people with kids in school has been this damn in-home schooling, at-home schooling. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just a matter of, you got to see like friendships that you knew were solid, I'm sure stayed solid, and ones that weren't as solid, you probably didn't speak to them as much. You know what I'm saying? Or, I'm sure a lot of people picked up new hobbies and things like that and just maybe looked into themselves more. But I think that as bad of a time this has been for a lot of people with the sickness and the health and all that stuff, I think that some good has to and will come out of this. So shit, you were in the house in Jersey. What's it been like up there? At least we've been able to, I could go out and get a beer, sit outside. You know what I'm saying? Like, and watch a game. Y'all can't do that.
I was in Texas, again, taking precautions and stuff like that the last couple of days. And I told them, I said, I haven't been out with my guys. I haven't done anything in months. So just being out with other people.
What was that like for you? Being in the South, like being from the North and then going to the South and see how, like, it's like a new country.
It really was. I mean, I hadn't traveled anywhere. Yeah, we go outside. The reason we go to state parks and stuff like that is because we're outside. We're healthy. We can distance, things like that. Right. I also said it's like our gym class. Like, my kids don't get out otherwise during the day to do anything because they're stuck at their computers. So, but like from a social perspective, I mean, go out to eat here and there. You got your outside dining, and then the inside, it's pretty tight. They limit the numbers. It's just weird and uncomfortable. But from a social aspect, I haven't done anything socially in months. And so, yeah, going down there, it wasn't so bad. I mean, it wasn't too different. People still wear masks around and stuff like that. I'll tell you the weird thing is you go up to New York, people just walk on the street with their masks, just like all over. Like they really got it, really got it good. And then going down there, it was refreshing. I said, it's just nice to be with like other adults doing like adult things. But first thing I did was got a test when I got back, make sure everything's good. Got my negative test.
You should, rightfully so. Rightfully so, man. Right? Absolutely, you should.
But like that's like people
said,
are
that's
like
how I started it.
My family, not my immediate family, like my extended family, are like, "What are you doing? And you can't do that." And I'm like, "Look, we're not dumb. Like we're not in there. We're not going maskless. We're not like these rabble rousers. Like we're being smart when we do it. We're just trying to find a balance, and then coming back and I take care of my elderly grandmother a little bit with my parents gone, and I'm like, all right, I'm not coming over until I get a test. Like, just be smart about what you do and don't be dumb. And it's not everything's not a conspiracy, and you're not the most important person in the world. But back to your original question, man. If it was nice to be an adult for a little bit with some other people.
Word.
That said, any Super Bowl predictions? Actually, we might be back next week, but we'll see if the opinion changes next week. Any predictions?
I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the GOAT, class of 2000. The only player from my draft class still playing. So let's go. Got to bring it home.
All right, I'm actively rooting against Andy Reid, and I never was that guy, but now I can't bear it, man. It's four straight NFC Championship games, and we go 1-3. I don't know. I was kind of rooting for the other two, just to
Philly
mix
fans, man. You're a typical Philly fan. Yeah, I love it.
I was rooting for Browns. I would have liked to see the Browns do something just for fun. I like seeing the Bills make a little run. I was kind of just pulling for something different more than anything. Like, all right, Chiefs, you had your shot. I was pulling for them last year. Brady, you've been there, so just not that Rodgers hasn't, but just mix it up a little bit.
I want to see Patrick Mahomes rip off like 4 Super Bowls in a row. Like, I don't care if the Chiefs win. You know what I'm saying? I'd like to see Brady win, but I'd like to see Patrick Mahomes win like 4 or 5 in a row, then go on a low, and then end his career with like, I don't know, just break whatever record Brady sets. I think that would be a good storyline to watch for the next 10 years.
Not bad. Well,
that's it.
Pleasure being back. Thanks everybody for listening.
Yeah, let's do it again, man.
Yeah, and we'll bring some guests back. We'll mix it up a little bit, but just getting our feet wet again. But I'm Don Povia. That is Keith Bulluck. Until next week, this is the Outside Game Podcast. Peace.